Black Mental Health Part 2, carrying on the story from before. Yeah, I had my first breakdown when we moved to this city, and I was in a refuge at the time. And if you can imagine, you've just fled domestic violence. My husband had actually threatened and tried to kill me. It was actually police and social services that helped us to move here. And if you can imagine that I had lost everything. I'd lost my home, my car, my job, the friends that I had in London. I had to move away from my family, which at the time wasn't necessarily a bad thing. We moved into a refuge. We were in the refuge for 7 months, but within 2 weeks of us moving into the refuge, moving in from another city, my youngest daughter, who was 4 at the time, overnight developed pneumonia. She's an asthmatic, and she just developed pneumonia out of nowhere, and it all happened so fast. And I just remember the doctor, after she was rushed to the hospital, the doctor just saying, look, Miss Myrie, there's nothing more we can do for her. The medication that they're giving her for the pneumonia isn't working because of the underlying issue, which is her asthma. Fluid had leaked into her lungs, and her lungs had collapsed, and all her organs were starting to fail. And I remember so clearly the doctor saying to me, if you have any friends or family, you should call them now and tell them to come quickly, because she will not survive the night. I think they gave her something like 24 hours to live. And I remember looking at that man like he was possessed, because I remember thinking, I've just fled domestic violence. I have lost everything. I have nothing, no job, no home, no car, no house, no money, nothing. I'm living in a refuge with 12 strangers. And you're telling me now that my baby is dying, and I should call friends and family who aren't supposed to know where I am in the first place to come. Wow. And by a miracle she got better, and it was not long after she got better that I had my first breakdown while in the refuge. And the staff there were absolutely fantastic. If it hadn't been for them, I think the breakdown would have been a lot more severe. I think my children would have been removed from my custody if it hadn't been for the staff there. And then 7 months later we got the house we're in now, and almost 7 months to the day my daughter got pneumonia again. We just moved into our house. We had no furniture, nothing. Just basically an empty house with a bed and a cooker. And she got pneumonia again, and again the medication wouldn't work because of her underlying issue, and again she was given 24 hours to live. But you know, my daughter's a survivor, and she's a fighter like her mummy, and she fought and she got better. But it really had an impact on my mental health. I'm somebody, I don't do change. I don't like change, no matter how small the change is. You move a pen from here to here, that's me. And to have such a big change in such a short period of time, where you actually lose everything that you have and everything that you know, and come to a strange city and have to start again from scratch, on top of which your marriage has broken down, and you've not dealt with that. You've not dealt with the domestic violence and what happened and why it happened and why you stayed in it for so long, and you've not dealt with the self-harming that you're still doing to try and cope. You've not dealt with your drinking that you used to do. You've not dealt with the childhood rape and sexual abuse and the mental, physical, emotional, psychological, verbal abuse and neglect that you suffered. You've not dealt with all of that, and now here you are in your early 30s, and you know, it's all just piling up, it's all just adding up, it's all just calculating, and then on top of it you nearly lose your daughter twice. Yeah. Sometimes we see people have breakdowns and we just look at them and think you're weak and you're pathetic, and you know, what's all that about? Grow up, man up, suck it up, get on. But what you need to do is actually walk a mile, not even a mile. Take 2 or 3 steps in that person's shoes and you will realize that actually it's not that simple. Nothing is that easy, nothing is that black and white. And since, as I said before, moving here, I've had 4 breakdowns, 4 complete mental breakdowns, and God, been a mother, been a single mother, and raising 2 children, while having mental health issues, while not having dealt with my past, whether it was the domestic violence, the sexual abuse, the drinking, the self-harming, the negativity in my childhood. It is by far the hardest thing in the world to do, because when I look at my history, my mother and her mother, there is a history there. It's a cycle of abuse, and I decided that actually the chain was going to be broken with me. The buck was going to stop with me. It was not going to carry on over into another generation. I was not going to allow it to carry on over onto my children. I was not going to tell my children that they're stupid and thick and useless and worthless and pathetic, and that they were the result of a one-night stand, and that they're good for nothing. I wasn't going to beat my children till, you know, hospitalization would happen. I wanted to break the cycle. I chose to break the cycle. I chose that it wasn't going to go any further, thus far and no further, and it was going to stop with me. But that decision came at a price, and the price was a mental breakdown, because there is a battle that rages on in your mind. There is a battle that goes on 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. There is something in you that says, you know, why shouldn't you do to your children what was done to you? It's not fair. Why shouldn't they feel what you felt? It's only life. They need to experience how hard life can be, how hard life is. You had it done to you and you survived. They can survive. And to fight the urge to give in to those voices, to fight the urge to give in to those need to hurt them physically, mentally, emotionally, psychologically, even spiritually. When there's a battle in the mind, somebody has to win, somebody has to lose. And yes, I won in that I didn't carry on, but I lost in that it cost me. It cost me. My mind couldn't deal, and on many occasions it broke. But when I look now at my children, who are now 15 and 17, soon to be 16 and 18, and I hear them say to me, "Mummy, I had the best childhood. Mummy, I loved my childhood. I love my life." I don't want to pat myself on the back or any kind of anything like that, because that's not really me, and I struggle to see anything I do as good or any accomplishments that I've accomplished. But there is a part of me that sometimes looks and thinks, you did that, you did that, and you've raised 2 mentally and emotionally and psychologically and spiritually and physically healthy, strong, independent, young black women who one day will go into the world and be a pillar in the community, as opposed to a thorn in humanity's side.